r/AskReddit.
What's a really fucked up thing you've witnessed as a kid but didn't realize it was until you were older?
A response to the post.
When I was a kid, all the kids would sleep in the basement on Christmas Eve to give space for Santa to drop off the presents. That night there was a lot of noise coming from outside on the street, but we couldn't see anything because there was snow covering the egress windows. My mom came downstairs and told us to stay there, but soon we heard sirens and saw police lights reflecting in the snow. There was a lot of commotion that we couldn't see. Then my dad came downstairs with a very real Santa Claus. He told us that his sleigh crashed in the snow and that the kind police officers were helping him get unstuck, and while they were working he was visiting the kids in the neighborhood. He pulled out a present for each of us and sat with my family while we opened them and sang a few Christmas songs. When things calmed down outside, he went back to delivering toys. Years later I learned that there was a large gang fight outside of our house and that a few people died right outside. An older man from our church lived down the road, and knowing my parents had undoubtedly scared children at home, put on his Santa suit and came over once the police arrived. Santa was a hero to me as a child, but that man is a hero to me now.
A response to this comment.
Man's a legend.
A response to the post.
Lived in a townhouse. In my bedroom at night I would hear the kids next door scream and cry. My parents called the police once, but the man claimed he was playing with his kids and didn't let them in, and apparently the police couldn't do anything. Found out when I was older that the man had later tried to kill the whole family, kids, baby included, with a pair of scissors.
A response to this comment.
I remember when I was about 11 or 12 our neighbors were a family of 5 kids. They were terrible. I was afraid of the dad who would curse and scream at his kids and the neighbor kids, including my sister and I. He was an awful person. He would beat the hell out of those kids. He would take them into his bedroom, which was right across from my window, and I could hear everything. They would scream and cry. I can still hear it to this day. The next day the kids would be black and blue. I begged my parents to call the police, but they wouldn't. They weren't the greatest parents either. I have no idea how I was brave enough, but I anonymously called Child Protective Services, and I remember they came out the next day and interviewed the kids. Nothing ever happened, but the parents went around the neighborhood telling everyone they got a lawyer and they were going to sue whoever reported the false allegations. Horrible people.
A response to the post.
Staying up waking my dad when he would stop breathing. Later realizing he was overdosing on opiates.
A response to this comment.
My mom would always fall asleep on the sofa, and it would take me a long time to wake her up. It was like she was half dead. She always would wake up and tell me she was just resting her eyes. It wasn't until I was older that I realized she was taking opiates my entire childhood. I thought sleeping in the afternoon was a normal adult thing to do. Edit. I should add, sleeping as in falling face first into the floor, or dropping a cup of tea, or having a half-eaten sandwich in her hand, etc. You get the point.
A response to the post.
Living in an abusive situation as a whole. As a child, domestic violence was the norm for me. When I was at a friend from elementary school one time and his parents were having a disagreement over something, I asked my friend when they'd start hitting each other, and he just looked at me funny, not getting what I meant. As an adult, looking back on my childhood, it's only then you really understand how fucked up it all was. As a child it's intense and frightening, but you don't yet grasp the full situation yet.
A response to this comment.
Can seriously relate to this, especially that last statement. It took until I'd been out of the house 3 years, and then lucked into going to university for me to realize that the vast majority of people around me did not live like that the young people around me had learned all kinds of social and personal skills I'd never even been exposed to, and that I had no clue how an ordinary person thought, felt, or behaved. Took years for me to cobble together an ordinary person face so I could just live in the same world as everyone else. But I did, and got through to my 70s without repeating the pattern. For me, that's a major victory.